done this in a while.
I know. I don't even remember what to say.
I got you covered. Welcome back to another episode of Creating Magic. I'm Dani.
And I'm Paula.
And today we have a very special episode. We are going to be sharing an interview with Matthew, who is one of the co-founders of the Cauldron Pub. So it's been a while, but back in April, I got to go out to their offices and to see their facility out there. So we're going to listen to that right now. All right, so today we are here with Matt from the Cauldron Pub. Matt, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. I am the co-founder and CEO of the Cauldron Company, which is the global entertainment company that produces the Cauldron immersive experience venues around the world.
So how many of those experiences do you have currently?
As of recording this, we're at 6. We have 4 sites in the UK and 2 in the US, and we are about to open 2 more in the US in the next coming weeks.
Okay, so that first one that's opening is Chicago.
That's right. So 6 days from today, we're opening Chicago in an area of Chicago called Wicker Park on Division Street. It's a kind of an iconic bank. It's 10,000 square foot. It's a beautiful, beautiful site, and we're just sprinkling some magic on top.
That's so exciting. And then what type of experiences throughout all your locations do you have for people to come and enjoy?
Our focus is immersive food, beverage, and retail. So from a food and beverage standpoint, we do a potion making experience, which is a molecular cocktail class where you pre-book online ahead of time. You get a working magic wand and a robe, and you kind of make 3 elixirs. You pour one with your magic wand with spell casting to start you off, and then you choose 2 from a list to brew at your table using your magic wand and other elements of science. We also run a wizard afternoon tea experience, which is non-alcoholic by nature, although you can add alcohol if you like, and that's more food-based as well as tea-based. In London, we run a magic wand experience, which is a 4D interactive retail experience, and then our US venues have full service restaurants with them. So it's like British comfort food with a fantasy twist. And the idea is just to make magic real with science, technology, and design, and to bring the things that can be brought to life and put you in the driver's seat.
Okay, that's so much fun. There's so much going on there. But the cool thing about you guys is like you really do create your own items and essentially event the things you use. You don't really outsource that much.
That's right. I mean, the things that we're doing, the reason we're doing them, they didn't exist before. So there was no working magic wands, that miniaturized technology that lets you control the environment around you. So I invented that piece of tech. The stuff that we want to do doesn't exist yet, or it exists in other forms. And our design studio, which is based in London, their mission is to figure out how we can bring things to life. So right now, no one else is making that in the mainstream way. So we are, in the hope that that will become adopted by the mainstream.
So let's backtrack a little. What inspired you to start this adventure?
Well, I love fantasy. I love reading. Reading is what got me interested in learning as a kid. I went on to become a literacy and reading teacher right after college with Teach for America. And I was doing my best to inspire my kids who really struggle with reading to learn to love to read. And my go-to for that is fantasy, right? It's such an accessible genre. Has so many nice messages and speaks to so many people of all different backgrounds and experiences. And so I used fantasy to get my kids excited about reading and literature and wanting to learn. And then I became really interested in technology and education technology. I wanted to move into making software and hardware for learning and helping like students and people achieve like higher learning gains. So I started to move into that industry and into technology and learning how to make things myself. And once you teach someone a skill like that, you just point and they go, right? Yeah. And for me, what was in my head was working magic wands. How do I make fantasy real? How do I take the things from the pages of books and from folklore and from history and from movies and actually make them part of today's technology? I see what we're doing for fantasy is what happened to science fiction. So science fiction has become, a lot of it's become science, the science that we're experiencing today. If you look at things like Star Trek or like Jules Verne or Back to the Future, right? So we can see so much of...
Just like your iPad from Star Trek, you know, that's what they were using before it was a thing.
It's because people wanted that to be real, right? So, and then they made it real. And what I want to make real is the stuff from fantasy and bring it into today's science. And so I feel like we are at a point, an inflection point in history where we're able to make that happen in a way that hasn't been possible before.
That's so exciting. It's also like a way that for kids that do enjoy that magic to also find the sciences. Like, it's not... A lot of times, like, I found my love of science because of my love of science fiction.
That's right.
And that's why, like, I love astronomy because I loved Star Trek as a kid. And this is, like, a way that someone will go to this experience. And, yes, some kids are like, yes, this is all real magic. And then other kids are going to be like, but how?
But how?
And then it goes on that journey of discovering how things are created and then becomes a creator themselves.
Yeah, I mean, as a former teacher, it's figuring out how to get people to learn without even necessarily having them know that they're learning.
Yes.
So our magic wand, we've invented a version of that can teach computer programming. So during COVID, when our venues were shut, we had to figure out, okay, well, how do we make revenue as a company? One of those ways was to make kind of at-home kits, at-home construction DIY kits for people to tap into creativity or into STEM or into learning. And we developed a platform for teaching computer programming, like, you know, blink on, blink off, right? It's much more fun when you have a wand that blinks the thing on or off. And one of my dreams for how our company will develop is developing a product that teachers can use in schools, that like computer science teachers can use in reinforcing the learning goals that teachers have with their kids and their students, to then, like, how do you make that just a little bit more fun for them?
And just, I love that because it brings the fun back into learning. Because sometimes, like, you remember the teachers you didn't like because it wasn't a fun class, but you also remember those teachers that did make everything fun and encourage that learning. And by doing it through a way that, you know, there's magic is everywhere, and finding those things and looping it back in is so cool. And I can't wait to, like, see the kids that come out of, like, the things that you produced and where they go.
I mean, when I think about teachers like that, like lessons that stand out, like I think about Mr. Basaga or Mr. Nell, my science teachers, right, who engaged and caught your imagination through really cool and fun science experiments that you could then see how are applicable, right? And for us, like from a potion making perspective, we have one drink that's called the Transfiguration Tonic. It's a potion that people can construct, and it changes from blue to pink. And really how that's happening is the liquid is traveling along the pH scale. And so what you're doing is teaching about pH, whether you realize it or not. And for us, like, our potion classes are kind of like high school chemistry class, where it's safe to drink the liquid and maybe it has alcohol and you have a nice time with it too. So the inspiration that I have comes from teachers and comes from sources like that really kind of speak to you.
So you've mentioned wanting to, like, in the future do things to help aid teachers. Where else do you see this growing? Like, do you want to open a lot more places, or do you have ideas for what that future looks like?
Yeah, so we are in a stage of growth and expansion, especially in the United States. And by opening more venues in more cities, you're, kind of increasing awareness. We're going to be franchising in the United States as well, again, to increase that impact. And the number of venues we have is a saturation point. And those venues also have, like, an entire merchandising area. So you have the beauty of a concept like the Cauldron is you have a captive audience who really likes the thing that you're selling.
Yes.
And so how do you put other things in front of that audience that they would also like? And that could be learning kits, that could be freeze-dried unicorn poop, which is saltwater taffy that's been freeze-dried. And it's like, so when you freeze-dry something, it makes it so much more fun.
It's like astronaut food.
But it is. It's astronaut food.
How many people wanted astronaut food?
I still want astronaut food. And it's about kind of increasing the platform that you have to kind of put these products in front of an audience that is really passionate and really interested and really excited, and hopefully just had a really good time in your venue. We, during COVID as well, since our venues were closed, it's thinking about how you can use your intellectual property differently. So for us, what is our IP? Our IP is patented interactive magic wands, it's science-based drinks, it's interactive items, it's creativity. So we developed a consumer Internet of Things product. It's called the Wizard Smart Switch, and we made a Kickstarter for it, and it was funded, and we just finished production in China. So we're in the process of putting that in all of our venues, but it's a magic wand activated smart plug. So you have it's in 3 parts. You have a magic wand, you have a rune stone, and you have a smart plug. And so the idea is you can plug anything you want to in the world into that smart plug to turn on and off. And then you can control that smart plug with your magic wand. And so really it's putting the consumer and the customer in the driver's seat of, what is it what would you, if you had a magic wand that worked, what is the thing that you would want to control most?
Probably like my reading lights. It's like this stupid thing, but like when you have to get up to turn off your lights when you're done with reading, it drives me insane.
But imagine finishing reading a book before you go to bed.
Yeah.
And then say it's a fantasy book, just for argument's sake, and you turn off the light that you were just using to read with your magic wand.
Yeah, see, that's a lot more fun than like having to find the pulley chain or like the switch.
But like when inventing that product, it's like the mental model of a child and an adult in their life reading to them, right?
Yeah.
And then how do you reinforce that love of what you just read? And it's by turning off the reading light with
and
magic
creating
wand.
those memories, because the kid's going to remember reading that book and the magic wand looped together than just the book.
So how I see our company developing is growing more sites and growing more venues, but also developing the line of interactive products that we make that reinforce our mission of making magic real with science, technology, and design.
Yeah, that's so great. I love that combination of it. With your magic wand, so you have the magic wand experience.
That's right.
Is that just in the UK?
At the moment, that's only in our venue in Soho in London. Yeah.
Okay.
And the reason that is because our Magic Studio is based in London. So when you roll out a new product, like things just don't work right.
Yeah.
Right? You think it's going to work a certain way, and it always just doesn't work that way. Or you design a product and you think a customer is going to use it a certain way, and then they use it the exact opposite way. You think they're going to touch the front, and they touch the top. And then when you observe 50 people all touching the top, you're like, I should really move that.
It's a good testing ground.
Yeah, it's like prototyping iterative feedback. So the Magic Wand experience we launched as a 4D interactive retail experience, and that's right now only in London, but the plan is to roll that out in the other venues now that it's gone past the kind of prototyping MVP stage into something that's more robust, that is like less likely to break, that we can feel comfortable in sending across the ocean, across the world, in another time zone, and then kind of is there for staff to be able to use.
So if I make my magic wand in London and then go to New York, can I use that wand in your other locations?
Your magic wand works in our magical realm of all of our venues.
So I could just go on a tour of all your locations with the same wand.
You can.
We'll see how many places I can check out that list.
Well, you will have been, I think, this summer you've been to 2 of them.
Yep. Right? I'll be in New York next month, so we'll see what happens.
So then it'll be 3 of them, and we're opening a second New York site in the Flatiron, Chelsea area of New York. So you could potentially hit both of them at the same time.
Do you have a date for the second New York yet?
It's probably going to be June. Okay. I would think probably end of June.
All right, and then
summer in New York is a great time to be there.
Yes, let's avoid the snow. At least that's my theory on it. Always
you should try it. We have a venue in Edinburgh, and it is so cold in winter. Edinburgh's beautiful. It's an absolutely beautiful, magical place, but it is so cold in winter. It's quite the experience.
How does it? Because you have so many different venues. How do you translate that with like the locations that you end up being in? With across, like, is there a different vibe when you go into each one? Does each one have its own feeling, or do you try to get them as similar as you can?
try to be consistent in the offering that you provide while also localizing it for the place where you are. Like Chicago is an iconic bank, and you wouldn't turn into anything but an iconic bank. We have it's like a safety deposit vault that's going to be a wizard themed bank speakeasy. Because like, what else would you put in that space? But like, that is a different design to what our London venue looks like in East London, or the Soho venue where you visit it looks like. And you kind of have to work with the real estate that you've got and the innate design of the space already, and try to have those elements really work for you. But it's very important that the consistency of the product is the same, the drinks taste the same, the food is the same recipe, that there's, when you go, even when you go to the venue in New York, you know that you can see how it's different, but you can also see how they are all very linked.
And then with your food offerings, because I noticed this online, and this is something that a lot of my listeners deal with. You guys cater to, for one, you make everything fresh, from what I understand, and you cater to food restrictions. So vegetarians and allergies.
Yeah, as much as humanly possible, cater to kind of all different types of customers and their dietary needs or dietary choices or whatever that may be. So, the quality of food and the food offering is really important. The U.S. venues especially, they have full-service restaurants associated with them. So that's, everything from breakfast to lunch to dinner to brunch to dessert. And it's British food with a fantasy twist. For example, our fish and chips are not just fish and chips. They are served on a bed of hot river rocks and misted with sea salt. And then there's like dry ice that makes the smell of the sea salt come out. So you're smelling the sea as it is that you're experiencing eating the fish and chips. Or like... just
like all full senses.
It's like multi-sensory,
sensory,
right?
Yeah.
It should be really fun, and you should be able to get involved. Like the cauliflower cheese. Cauliflower cheese is like a Sunday roast, a British Sunday roast side dish. And it's like cheesy cauliflower. It's really, really good. So we serve it in a hot skillet that's on fire, and you put out the fire with like ribbons of hot English cheddar.
Oh.
And so it's like, how do you make it interactive? Yeah. How do you deconstruct food? How do you reconstruct it? How do you make the customer involved in some way?
So we're going to start wrapping up. Is there anything else you want to share, or anything upcoming?
One of the things that we've done in the past is we did a seed investment round for our company. So really firmly believe that this concept of making magic real shouldn't just belong to Dave and myself, right? It belongs to a generation of people who love fantasy.
Yeah.
That is, and it should, as it should, and this idea should belong to the world. So what we did with our seed investment round is we opened it up to our customers to become micro shareholders in the company. And that was open to primarily UK people and people in Europe. And we have like something like 700 shareholders that are customers of the Cauldron, that have been to our venues, understand what we do, and are excited about it and want to be involved. We're going to wind up doing that again.
Okay.
But this time including the US audience as well. So if anyone's interested in that, there's a website, Equity. It's called Equity for Magic. If you go to the cauldron.io/EFM or /Equity for Magic, there's a sign up list to sign up to the mailing list so you can be notified when it is that we actually go about launching that, because we want to increase the tent as much as possible. Yeah. We want to bring in the fantasy fandom and multiple fantasy fandoms, really, to try to make this company more than just the sum of kind of a workshop in London and those ideas. It's like, how do we open this up to more of our community and be as inclusive as possible?
Yeah, that is great. And then for people that want to book an experience, where do they go to do that? Because I know a lot of them, you recommend booking in advance.
Yeah, we recommend you book in advance. You go to our website, thecauldron.io, and depending where you're located in the world, it should direct you to like the closest venue.
Okay.
That's for you. But you can also toggle between the venues, and then there's a booking widget you can book for your potion making experience, or wizard afternoon tea, or your table, or one of our drag nights, or one of our events, or like whatever it is. Yeah. We're really kind of full service in the programming. Something else to know, like we're a queer founded company, so supporting like the LGBTQ inclusive community is like very, very like important to what we do, to make safe spaces for our customers, to make safe spaces for our staff, and to really just make a fun place that people love and want to enjoy. So we think that that's, it's really important to make sure it's as inclusive as it can be. Everyone is welcome at the Cauldron.
And just at the one that I've been to, it feels that way. Like you walk in and it just feels like such a welcoming place. And I'm so excited to see the other venues and to see where you grow from here.
Thanks. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to visit us in London, to see the workshop, to spend your afternoon with us. And excited to see you next time.
Yes, thank you for inviting me. And until next time, keep creating.
So we want to thank Matthew and the Cauldron Pub for all the fun experiences. We have also recently, if you haven't been following us, went to LeakyCon, and the newest location for the Cauldron Pub opened in Chicago, and LeakyCon had their after party there, so we were able to also attend that.
That was so cool. Like the location is it's definitely very witchy. Like I had an awesome time there. Like it was amazing.
We were drinking inside of an old bank vault.
Yeah.
I got
that
it.
was so cool. Like I was like, this is so neat. Like I was like, how do I get one of these?
I don't know if you were with me. I was speaking with Jana, the manager, and she said when they got the building, they gave them like a box of keys for all of the safety deposit boxes that are in the vault. And they eventually want to go through and match all the keys up so they can actually use them like for games or something.
That's awesome. That's pretty cool. I love that.
So I have been to the London and Soho location, which has the wand making, they do the potions, and they do the tea. So I've done the tea and I've done the wand making. There are other locations. They have another location in London, one in Edinburgh, one in Brighton, one in Philadelphia, and 2 in New York. 1 in New York right now, but the second one will be opening, which we did mention with my conversation with Matt. Even from the pictures, I love the Chicago's building the most.
Yeah. I love that you like walk down into like this little thing. And then
it's like a speakeasy, like the door. I almost missed the door.
Yeah. We almost the Uber passed. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
And like that one, it's not just the experiences. Like if you just want to go and grab a drink, you can just go and grab a drink. You don't need the reservations to do the potion experience there. I spent most of my time in the bar area. Mm-hmm. Doing the little shots. I had one of those too on the Sunday.
So good.
The green one, the like death something.
Yes.
And it has like so the dry ice. Those were very good.
And the dry ice doesn't touch like the drink. It's like inside this little capsule thing.
I was watching so cool. When you guys were having the shots, I was sitting at the bar with Sarah enjoying our charcuterie board.
Yeah.
Because we hadn't eaten all day, because that's what you do at LeakyCon. You forget to eat.
You don't eat.
And I was watching the bartender put them all together and like pop them. And it was actually really cool to watch. No, I love that space. And then we found out they do Dragons and Drinks on like Wednesday nights. Ooh. And they play Dungeons and Dragons, and they'll have like tables that you can go and like join a group, and there'll be like one night campaigns or like multiple nights where you just come back each week. I'm like, if I lived in Chicago, cool. I would love to learn to play Dungeons and Dragons.
Me too.
And get drinks.
I would probably be really bad at it after a couple of drinks, but
it'd make it funnier.
True. No, but I loved it. They had like the DJ there. It was a cool vibe. Like,
oh yeah, you guys.
It was not just. Oh yeah, we went hard for sure.
It was also.
I think you left. Well, when I left, you were not there anymore.
No, I left. So around like 8:00, someone was like, "Oh, there's a DJ coming at 9." And Sarah and I looked at each other. We're like, "We'll leave by 8:30." We were like introverted out, and the convention hadn't even started. But like the whole bar was like, there were other people there, but 80% of the entire building was our people.
Yes. I mean, I loved it. The DJ was awesome. The music was great. The drinks were delicious.
Which drink awesome. Did you have out of the creature? So they have 3 heads. Creature? One is, they had a phoenix, a dragon, and a unicorn.
I did the unicorn, which was...
the sangria one.
Was it sangria?
It was
I
the
don't know.
middle
It was
one.
delicious.
It
was the
wasn't
middle
sangria,
one.
but they say it's similar to a sangria.
Right. It was not the one that had gin in it. Because one
No,
of them
that's
was
the
like,
one I tried.
yeah.
And it wasn't bad, but my mistake was I hadn't eaten all day, and that's not the thing you try when you have. No, it was it was bourbon.
Is it bourbon?
Or gin. And then the first one, this made me laugh when I heard the story. Amy, our good friend Big Fat Lanyards,
Yeah.
got the one in the first one, and she was drinking it and enjoying it, and someone just went, "You do realize it's the non-alcoholic one?"
She was like, what?
So they do have non-alcoholic options. So
They
there
do.
you can do the potions with kids. And then
We
I was
also
able to go
ordered,
back and do the potions experience.
Yeah, I saw. Oh man, I wish I could have done that.
I
should have
tried to
left
find the
early.
time. I tried to find us the time for
I
you and
know.
I to do it. We will do an episode that's a LeakyCon recap. We did
Yeah.
so much that wasn't just LeakyCon. We did so many things in the city.
I mean, on Thursday, I got in. We got in. What was
We
it,
landed and
11:30. Went to the hotel. Went to Magic at Play. Then I left to the baseball game. You went to like this other.
I went to a pin meetup. Like
Yeah.
we didn't stop.
Yeah. No.
I want to eventually get to all the Cauldron pubs. I believe in my heart, I believe you and I will one day get to New York and we're going to go see theirs.
I really want to go to New York.
I know that's why I chose that one because I was like, Paula and I are going to get to the New York one.
I can't believe it's September next week already.
I know. Oh, speaking of September, what happens in September, Paula?
September 1st, back to Hogwarts. The Back to Hogwarts magic, right?
That's
I
the
always say it
challenge,
wrong.
yes.
Yeah. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited. We will be doing the Back to Hogwarts Magic Challenge. If you would like to join in, you can follow any of our Instagram accounts, including the podcast page. We have a broadcast channel. The algorithm has switched up, so you can't really find things by hashtag unless you're like a high-performing post. Instagram, change that back. We don't like that. We like finding new small accounts. We have a lot of we actually are going to be putting out more episodes, at least for the fall, because we have so many backlogged that we're going to do a weekly schedule for a little bit here.
Yeah.
Because we did release the cosplay panel from LeakyCon. I still have the podcast panel, which wasn't originally going to be released. And then so many people have asked for it. I've had a lot of requests for that audio. So we are going to release that.
Did I cry on that one too? My mom made fun of me. I was listening to the cosplay one and she was like, "Are you crying?" And I was like, "It's like you don't know me. You birthed me, woman."
You cried during the podcast one because Bess had tissues for you.
Yes, this is true. I don't know how to not cry. I just don't.
I mean, we did the podcast panel. At least I did it thinking it would be just like some hey, let's answer some questions. Like, let's give you information about starting a podcast. And we went deep in it. Like, it ended up being about communication and finding your right thing. And it was just, I'm glad because I wasn't going to record it.
Yeah, I'm glad you recorded it.
Yeah,
it was really good.
I don't know how well the audio is going to be, so people may have to deal with that, but I am going to still release it.
Yeah. And we just have so many people like that, like the Shell Cottage podcast people that I spoke with. We just have a lot of people that we're going to chat it up with.
Yeah, we're going to chat with a bunch of people. And it was exciting for me for us to be in the room. And I love all our friends that came and supported us. But I also love seeing people who we hadn't met before.
Yes.
That was very new. It was such a good experience. I actually want to bring that episode back, that panel back next year.
Yes, you should do it.
But yeah, we are excited for what the rest of this year has in store. I think we're slowing down on traveling and experiences. We have a lot of experiences to talk about, so we'll have those episodes, but I think we're staying pretty local for a while now. And for anyone wanting to book the Cauldron Pub experiences, you can use code DM_potions for a little bit of a discount, and that works at any of the locations. Oh, Paula, where can we find you if we haven't found you before, or if we have new listeners who found us through LeakyCon?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram, Twitch, and TikTok at unconceivable. I spelled it at the at the panel. I said unconceivable.
Yeah, I appreciated that because I struggle to spell it every single time I try to type it out.
Yeah.
And then you can find me at Mandrakes and Mischief on Twitch and Instagram. And then you can find the podcast on Instagram and TikTok at Creating Magic Podcast.
Yay.
Until next time, keep creating.
Now, if you two don't mind, I'm going to bed before either of you come up with another clever idea to get us killed. Or worse, expelled.